what is the biggest losing fight for you business-wise? Where you walked away and said, shit, we lost millions on this one.
So it was Anthony Joshua had just lost at Madison Square Garden to Andy Ruiz. It was a huge upset. Like, we had the number one fighter in the world.
I remember that.
Jarrell Miller failed drug tests 3 weeks before the fight. We didn't have an opponent. We wanted a real fight because we were sold out. Ruiz was this fat guy, but he was a very good fighter. And we went with Ruiz, and AJ wasn't right anyway. Anyway, he gets stopped at Madison Square Garden, and I'm like, fuck. And it's like, now Matchroom, Hearn's in trouble. Matchroom, what are they going to do without AJ? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, right, we need to bounce back. And the team are like, well, what do you mean? I said, Lomachenko, right? One of the great fighters at the time.
When I say lose, I mean money.
That's
you lost money on that?
Yeah, no. I'm talking about what's coming now. I said, bring Lomachenko to London. We got a lightweight called Luke Campbell. Lomachenko is one of the greatest fighters. He's never fought in the UK. We'll sell out the O2, do massive pay-per-view numbers, get the deal from Aram, tell me how much I got to pay him. And they offered us a deal to bring Campbell to America, and we would have made $1 million by taking him to America. I went, fuck that. We do it in London because we're going to bounce back after AJ. Anyway, we sold out, but the pay-per-view flopped. So we probably lost $1 million there as well, but also the swing of taking him to America. And it was just, that was one of my big blessings, because it was like, just don't ever make decisions based off emotion again. Do you know what I mean? Calm. And then that's what experience brings over time. And, my dad's actually always takes the mickey out of me for that show, And so does my CEO as well, and a few others. Do you remember when you decided to bring Lomachenko to the UK? And he's an amazing fighter. But that was just like, yeah.
Why do you think it didn't sell? How did it not convert?
Because you have to understand the business. There's a big difference between the hardcore fight fan and the casual audience. And the guys that can interact and sell in the casual sports fan market are the guys that drive the huge pay-per-views. Canelo Alvarez, Anthony Joshua, Floyd Mayweather. He captivates. Lomachenko is a hero of the hardcore boxing fanatics, but that's a tiny, tiny percentage of the ecosystem.
So, question for you. When I hear what some people say about you, Frank Warren, Eddie talks a good game, but he doesn't always deliver. He's more interested in being a celebrity than a promoter. Simon Jordan, Eddie Hearn is more about self-promotion than the sport, and so he's turning it into a circus, right? Bob Arum, Eddie is a young guy who thinks he knows everything. He's got a lot to learn about the business. And then a lot of guys say he's all about entertainment. He's all about entertainment, all the stuff that they say, right? How much of it today, like our media company's name is Valuetainment. On election night, we're going up against ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, everybody. We had more people watch our podcast on election night than anybody else worldwide. Everybody was blown away by it. They're like, why would people watch this year? This is the data that came out, showing up the report. And we looked at this. Rob texts me and says, Pat, look where we're ranking. This is that night, okay? We had us ahead of everybody, right? And by the way, we're a bunch of amateurs. I'm not in this space. It's not like we do this for a living, and it's a podcast. We've only been doing this for 4 years. We had 283,000 people concurrent watching the podcast all night with us. Now, here's what the difference was. We had 2,000 people in a hangar, new property that we bought. Next time you come here, we'll do the podcast at the other property right by the airport. We had entertainment. We had all these shows, and we're talking about a serious issue, which is what? Politics. How much you think, ticket sales, selling it, is about the showman, the storytelling, the entertainment versus the matchup? What percentage, if you were to say, look, man, if I can get the controversy behind it, the story behind it, the this, the that, like, the movie, what is it, Warrior, when you got Tom Hardy in it, he's like, man, I don't know if you watch this movie. I watched this movie so many times. You're like, and the final story has it's the two brothers facing each other, father, da-da-da-da-da, Nick Nolte, that scene in the hotel room where Tom Hardy shows up, just can't stand his dad, but he's drunk and he's hanging on to him, and you see the fight, breaks his arm, and the fight's such an emotional movie, but there's a story behind it, right? How much of it is entertainment, story, versus the actual matchup of the fighters?
Virtually all of it. I mean,
virtually all
because
of it.
what I said about that hardcore fight, you make a great fight. This small audience, hardcore fight fans, they're the loudest, by the way, as well. They're all in.
5%? Is that 5%?
About that.
Okay.
This is the casual one.
Oh my God, that's big.
What I am, you talked earlier about the reason I said take me away from the equation is because that's what the team do. What I do is I'm a storyteller. I build the narrative. I make you buy in to the story. And
Be the viewer.
Yeah. And one of the reasons all those people say the things about me is about 10 years ago, I looked at the UFC business, I looked at WWE, and I thought, what have they got in common? Dana White and Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. That's the voice. That's the figurehead. That's the guy in the sport. When I say to you UFC, what do you say to me? Dana White. When I say to you WWE, what do you say? You say Vince McMahon. So why can't I build my own brand and my own personality and character within boxing that you're not always talent-led? And the great things about those businesses, WWE or TKO now and UFC, same part of the same group, the brand and Dana is so strong that when they go into new markets, there's already the profile, there's already the brand recognition, there's already the respect from the customer. And that's what we did. We're the only global promotional company in the world for boxing in multiple markets. And every time I go to a new country, they know who I am. Now, they want to know who's fighting. But me being there and boxing being there and Matchroom being there is enough to penetrate that market. And that's why UFC and WWE have been so successful. So back to your question, that's what I am. I'm a salesman. I've been a salesman since I was 14 years of age. It's my greatest asset. It may be one of my very few talents.
I love it.
But that's what I do. I get up there. I'm the only promoter in the world that runs their own press conferences. I don't have members of the media introducing me to say a few words. I run the whole fucking thing. It's my show. I'm the greatest showman. That's what our show's called on Netflix coming up. That's my job. I never have any notes. Every promoter will go up there, you see them with their piece of paper. We just want to say this Saturday at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, we've got 8 fights. Fuck that. I've never had one note in my 20 years of promoting boxing. I go up there, most of the time I don't even know what I'm going to say. I've got 16 fighters sitting up here, from 4-round fights to world championship fights. I'll turn up, I'll do my interviews, and the live feed, the floor manager will go, we're going live in 3, 2, 1. I have absolutely no idea what I'm about to say. And I'll tell you the entire card, the entire fighters, their entire records, their entire stories, all within one 45-minute show. And that's because I live and breathe it every single day. And I'm the only promoter in the world that does that. The last promoter that did that was Don King. Probably one of the greatest promoters of all time. Not in terms of his ethics, but in terms of the ability to know there was a show in town. Don King would make you know. That guy would go around with a megaphone on the streets of New York, screaming and shouting. And that's what it is. It's a dying breed of promoter.
Let me ask you. So, Pops, 10 rules for life. Number 10, when you need number 9, avoid being a secret. If you're good, then admit it. If you're great, then shout it from the rooftops. You just presented yourself as extremely confident that not just you're great. I mean, do you see yourself as a better promoter than any of these guys minus Don? You think it's you and Don?
On a different level.
You think you're on a different level?
Different level. Because they can't do...
Bob Arum.
Bob Arum's 93 years old. The thing that Bob will have me on right now as we sit here and talk is longevity. I know you've got to respect the hustle. He's 93 years old. You know, people keep saying to me, how much longer do you want to do this? You know, you're on the road, you're doing this. I say, well, I fucking love it. What, you know, if I stopped doing this, I'd be miserable probably. But I don't know whether that's 50, 60, 70. Bob's 93. Mm-hmm. Are you mad? But Bob did Thriller in Manila, Rumble in the Jungle. I mean, you know, I can't, in terms of legacy, I can't yet compete with Bob Arum because that comes over time. But what I can do is, in terms of ability, in terms of selling, in terms of promoting, in terms of engaging the audience and spinning a narrative, you know, and I don't care to say I'm the greatest promoter of all time because that's what I truly believe. And life is about confidence as well. What do you want me to do? Wake up and go, I'm average? You know, oh no, I'm okay, but I'm not as good as that guy. No, I'm better than you all. And I'll show it now in this press conference. Fucking turn the mics on and go live. You know? And that when you live and you breathe it, you have the confidence to be able to do that kind of stuff. I can talk any time about any fighter, any situation. And of course, the bigger you get and the bigger your business gets, the less fear you have anyway. So you end up just being completely honest because you don't give a fuck. You know? I care about the business. I care, but really, I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. I want to create storylines. I want to create narrative. I don't want to be a clown. You know, we're running a hugely successful company, but you've got to be talking about us. You know, the reason people want to watch your show is because you're creating narrative. You're creating opinions. You're interacting with the audience. That's the difference. You know, you look down that list that you just presented and you've got NBC at what, I don't know, 30th, you know, a major broadcaster that's institutionalized in the world of elections and politics, and you've got 3 times the viewership on a feed. You know, that's where the world's changed completely. I want to interact. And I was one of the first promoters of that generation to do that on social media. And I was not lucky, but my timing was good because Aaron wasn't going to get out on Twitter and start interacting with fight fans. Frank Warren was, you know, didn't know what the app was.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape and he gets recruited to a secret society. When you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time. And they test you. There's unique tests that they have at the society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're gonna enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm gonna put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.